On September 11th, 2001, the people of Canada came to our aid, managing an unprecedented crisis in the skies. They also took care of tens of thousands of displaced passengers.
Is a town of barely 10,000 people.
That's crazy.
There was over 6,000 of us.
Crazy.
Now, if you...
It's not the heroes in capes. It's your friendly next door neighbor, and I've never seen anything like this before. I've never heard of anything like this. I'm surprised. I've only just heard about this. Like, you hear about all the other stuff happening in 9/11, but this is the first time I've heard about Operation Yellow Ribbon, man. Okay, so a lot of you guys wanted me to check out Operation Yellow Ribbon. Now, I don't know anything about it up until this video. I hope this is the right video. It's a 43-minute one. Apparently, you guys are saying this is something that not a lot of people know about. Obviously, if you've been on my channel recently, you'll know that I've recently gone on this 9/11 rabbit hole. One of the many rabbit holes I've gone on this channel. 9/11 happening before I was born. So for me, this is like a historic event, but I know for a lot of you guys, this would be like, you guys lived it. Do you know what I mean? And you can vividly remember that day. So it's been really, really interesting going down this rabbit hole and finding out more. And I can't thank you guys enough for leading me in the right direction. But as always, guys, if you guys want to get some raw, unedited, uncensored videos from me that I cannot post on here, as well as some exclusive movie reactions, album reviews, sitcom watch parties, the list goes on, I'll definitely recommend checking out my Patreon, links in the description below. Of course, guys, you know the usual bits. Don't forget to subscribe, as well as turn on the notifications for those guys that are new here, especially you guys that are new checking me out with this 9/11 deep dive. Yeah, man, I'm excited to get into this one. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Let's go.
Mentioned earlier that Tom Brokaw had an extremely compelling piece. So without further ado, Tom Brokaw.
Now, this devastating earthquake in Chile is a reminder that when one country gets in trouble, it really does depend on the family of nations for help. That's been especially true between this country, Canada, and the U.S., of course. The ties between the United States and Canada are long and enduring, and not just in good times, it turns out. On September 11th, 2001, the people of Canada came to our aid, managing an unprecedented crisis in the skies. They also took care of tens of thousands of displaced passengers who arrived at their doorstep on short notice. This is the story of one small town that didn't get the attention it deserved in the chaotic aftermath of 9/11. In so many ways, it symbolizes the grace and the unselfish spirit of this very generous nation.
Wow. Big up Canada, man. Shout out to all my Canadians watching this. See, apparently this wasn't really known about. People didn't know about it.
September 11th, 2009. This is a scene that has played out in communities for 8 years since the terrorist attacks of 2001. But what makes this ceremony different is where it's taking place. This is the Appleton Peace Park near the town of Gander in Newfoundland, Canada, where during the tragedy of 9/11, there was a bright light on the better part of our humanity.
In Gander. Jeez, that the best quality.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that has happened here, and we know that no matter what happens in the world, there are still good people.
If this place can be somehow shared with the world would be a much better place.
Wow.
Here in Gander, amid the heartache, an autumn romance blossomed. Here, parents were constantly consoled as they faced wrenching pain. Here, thousands of stranded Americans would form a lasting bond with everyday Canadians who acted with admirable, unwavering kindness.
That's so beautiful, man. Is Gander like the town? Is the town that was they involved in this? I guess I'll find out.
We can never again look at the New York skyline without remembering that day, September 11th, when terrorists hijacked airliners loaded with passengers and jet fuel, flew them into the World Trade Center and killed 3,000 people.
3,000.
Altering the lives of an untold number of others.
3,000.
Most of our attention that day, of course, was focused here in New York, but it was a story that reverberated around the world. and it had a special impact on a small Canadian town 1,000 miles north of here. A town that became a safe port in a storm of fear, terrorism, and uncertainty.
That's the Gander place. This is the thing. I
province
never
of Newfoundland
knew this
and
existed.
Labrador, a former British colony that did not join Canada until 1949, has long been considered Canada's poorest.
Really?
It is largely populated by descendants of Scots and Irish, living simply in often harsh conditions.
Okay.
Here, neighbors relying on neighbors is a necessity of everyday life. Gander, population 10,000, is a small, two-stoplight town in the northeast corner of the island of Newfoundland.
Okay, 10,000, that's not that much at all.
Claude Elliott has been mayor of Gander since 1996.
We only have 500,000 people on a massive island. We've come through some difficult times, and most Newfoundlanders survive with hard work, helping each other, and that's been passed on from generation to generation.
Wow.
The cold season can come quickly and severely in Newfoundland, but September 11th, 2001 dawns warm and sunny, a typically bucolic day that will be anything but typical, as Gander is about to be thrust into the catastrophic events unfolding 1,000 miles to the southwest. Its citizens to be challenged as never before.
September 11th, 2001 started as a normal day in Gander. While we were having coffee, someone said there was a plane that crashed in New York in one of the Twin Towers.
Crazy.
We had complaints of speeding on Airport Boulevard. It's the only 4-lane road that we have, and I was parked in front of the curving club. I had my car radio and I heard what was going on. And like a lot of people, I couldn't believe that this was happening. And I said, that can't be true. It just can't be.
It wouldn't even sound real. Even I saw whose reaction to it. Like, I watched this documentary with the fireman. Some of you guys telling me check that out as well. But I was watching that, and the fireman, these two French guys that were filming it, and they just showed so much of it. A lot of you guys probably will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like the fact that nobody would have imagined that this was ever gonna happen, and when it happened, it was surreal. It was a shock. It didn't even register until like for a second, and then you realize, no, this is real. Like, this is actually happening. And
on that September morning,
so many people.
Veteran Ben Sliney is on his first day in his new position as FAA National Operations Manager. Barely an hour into the workday, there is an ominous development.
We were trying to locate American 11. It had shut off its transponder and dropped below radar coverage.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the book is called Hughes. We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center.
A plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City.
We saw what appeared to be a fireball at the top of the World Trade Center.
We had reports of another aircraft that had deviated from its course.
Wow.
Another one just hit. Something else just hit.
U.S. officials say it appears it was a third plane that hit the Pentagon.
I ordered a national ground stop, meaning that no other aircraft could take off. Whatever's necessary. Just get them stopped now. I don't want any more.
Another one hit the Pentagon. One of them, another one crashed
56 minutes
somewhere
after the
else.
North Tower is struck, an unprecedented decision has been made. Every non-military plane must land immediately.
Right,
For the first time ever, American airspace is closed.
Yeah, that's mad. They made everyone, all the planes stop.
This is a declaration and an execution of an attack on the United States.
The only way to really sort the situation out was to land everyone in our airspace.
The FAA now says that all international flights headed for the United States are being diverted to Canada.
To Canada as well, you know.
Every day, as transatlantic flights enter and leave North American airspace, they are managed here, the Area Control Center in Gander, Newfoundland.
Okay.
Gander 1174 Center, good day. Clear to send to maintain 6,000 feet.
On September 11th, when U.S. airspace is shut down, there are almost 400 planes carrying tens of thousands of passengers westbound over the Atlantic.
Crazy.
Around 200 are close enough to return to Europe, 167 more are too far across the ocean to turn back. When did you begin to be aware of what was about to happen in Gander? The flights that had been crossing the Atlantic more than halfway, many of them were going to be headed for Gander and St. John's and Halifax, but Gander would be the big magnet.
I knew that the Canadians were going to get an onslaught of traffic, and I suppose I hoped that they'd be able to handle that traffic.
That's a lot. Out of nowhere as well. Unexpected.
The responsibility of handling the traffic falls to a small team led by Don O'Brien, the supervisor on duty at the control center for NAV Canada, the Canadian version of the FAA.
The arrival sector, we normally would have 3 controllers seated. We quickly went to 14. We train for emergencies. We train for bomb threats.
Wow.
But usually it's a single airplane or maybe a second one, maybe, but not this
not
level
that
of the
many.
activity was going on here.
That's so many
Was another
planes.
part of your mind thinking about what had happened in New York and the possibility that there were more terrorists out there?
I'm sure it went through the controllers' heads, it went through my head, but sure, some of those airplanes could have been missiles. We didn't know how extensive this was, but that wasn't our call, really. We just had to get those airplanes on the ground safely.
Yeah, I guess you didn't know, but you still
One of
have
the
to
pilots
go
approaching
for it.
Newfoundland is Beverly Bass, the first female captain at a major airline.
Nice.
She's flying American Flight 49 from Paris to Dallas with 170 people on board.
Okay.
From the controller's standpoint, they feared that another airplane was going to be taken down. Some of the airplanes.
Let me just sort this out. This is annoying me. 2 secs, guys. Oh, why are you? Anyways.
Airplane was going to be taken down. Some of the airplanes were given directions to turn around and go back to their departure city. So we're sitting there cruising westbound and looking out the window, and you can actually see them turn and make 180s and head back to Europe.
Newfoundland is an island located off the eastern edge of North America. The 167 planes approaching Canada all must land immediately. The vast majority at small airports around the island and in the nearby maritime provinces, all controlled in Gander.
All controlled, that's a lot.
Over the next 7 hours, Gander Control and the surrounding airports will handle unprecedented traffic under extreme emergency conditions.
Extreme and a half.
We go to Toronto. The Air India 113 Center, negative. You must now land at Gander. Turn right heading 320.
Roger, turning right heading 320.
You got the comms. It's crazy how
Flight
much
paths must be
was affected.
recalculated in 3 dimensions, accounting for speed, direction, altitude.
That's
Some
a lot.
planes are too heavy to land and must jettison fuel.
Wow.
The risk of collision is ever present. This is an actual radar tape from that morning. Now you're starting to turn them toward Gander.
Yes, we got the word, of course, and we
That's
had
a lot of planes.
Heal them all northward into
Whoa.
Gander, St. John's, and Stephenville. Some of them knew there was activity going on in Kennedy, and there was a crisis in American airspace. Some of them didn't. We were telling them, look, you got to land. And they're saying, no, we're going on to Kennedy or Dallas or wherever. They say, no, you're not.
In the air, as they learn the shocking details, captains worry their own planes could be carrying hijackers, forcing many to hide the truth from their passengers.
Oh, yeah, because if they told the passengers...
announced that we had a slight mechanical problem, something to do with an indicator signal or something like that. We were going to have to put down in Gander to have it repaired.
Shirley Brooks Jones is a retired fundraising administrator for Ohio State, returning home from Frankfurt, Germany, on board Delta Flight 15.
Once we got parked, the captain came back on the intercom, apologized to us for the ruse, and said actually the equipment was fine, but there was a national emergency in the United States.
I can't imagine how the passengers...
The World Trade Center towers in New York City, and another was crashed into the Pentagon outside Washington, D.C.
That's big. That's news.
Some type of what would appear to be maybe a terrorist activity or hijacking has occurred with airplanes which apparently have impacted the World Trade Center in New York City.
How do you even comprehend that news? Surely you're thinking it's World War III.
On September 11th, 8 domestic flights are scheduled to land in Gander. Instead, 38 planes carrying almost 7,000 people are beginning to fill the tarmac.
That's almost 4 times.
The spectacle has drawn a crowd from among the town's 10,000 citizens. Oz Fudge is one of just 2 officers on the local police force.
I watched the plane come in, then I seen a jumbo come in, and then I seen another one come in. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, holy,
I need to change that.
God, if there's 200 people on each one of these planes, and we're going to get 40 or 50 planes, that's an awful lot of people.
That's a lot, man. It said 8 were expected,
2 hours after American Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the skies over the United States are empty. For the first time, American airspace is completely closed.
Yeah, that's mad.
In Canada, the Gander Area Control Center somehow lands all 167 planes without incident.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was a sigh of relief. You wipe your brow, you thank God they all got in safely, and it was unbelievable to go from this horrific activity, and then the airspace is completely sterilized. Nobody there. No targets on the radar screen.
Nobody there, yeah. Everyone's landed. Yo, bravo to all those pilots that day, man.
Here in New York,
and the people in Gander.
The task of the search for the survivors and the victims goes on and on.
Yo.
In New York, citizen volunteers are flooding toward Ground Zero as emergency workers search for survivers.
It's looking like a war
1,000
zone.
miles from the destruction, the 10,000 residents of the peaceful Canadian town of Gander, with virtually no time to prepare, must also respond with countless acts of generosity, providing food and shelter for thousands of frightened passengers, strangers who have suddenly arrived at their door. Among the stranded, far from home, are the parents of a New York City fireman. Not knowing if their son is at Ground Zero, Hannah and Dennis O'Rourke fear they may never see him again.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh, so the parents, that's mad. Did he pass?
Underline the strategic importance of Newfoundland's airport.
Questions, man.
Gander was an airport before it was a town. In the late 1930s, British and American military officials chose this site on the eastern edge of the continent to build the largest airport in the world. During World War II, this was a takeoff place for American military aircraft headed for the European theater.
Right.
After the war, Gander continued to play a vital role as a refueling stop for transatlantic commercial airliners. But then, the jumbo jets came along. They could cross the Atlantic non-stop, and Gander's role in aviation was greatly reduced.
Right.
Until September 11th.
That's mad.
When Gander came alive again. A safe harbor for the jumbo jets that had almost put it out of business.
Wow.
And within a matter of hours, this vast tarmac was filled with planes from around the world, parked wingtip to wingtip.
Look, that's so many
Canada is
planes.
basically becoming a gigantic runway for every plane and aircraft that was destined for the United States today.
Crazy. Every single...
In Gander, no one is allowed off the planes until customs and security are in place. Run by airport officials and officers from the regional headquarters of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties. They must process each passenger, plane by plane, until authorities are certain there are no terrorists on board.
Yeah, because you don't know.
Among the trapped passengers
Insane.
is New York State Police Officer George Vitale, who is returning from Ireland, where he was doing advanced security for New York Governor George Pataki.
We were on this plane for 19 hours, sat on the tarmac, not really knowing what was going on outside, but knowing that it was pretty horrific.
The number of casualties
This is a whole different
will be more than any
perspective.
of us can bear, ultimately. And I don't think we want to speculate on the number of casualties. The effort now has to be to save as many people as possible.
Right. We'll talk.
There is another New York couple on the Gander tarmac whose connection to the events back home couldn't be more personal.
I just wanted to get off the plane and see what was happening, because I was hoping my son wasn't working that day.
Oh, the parents, yeah, of the fireman. I want to know if he survived.
Hannah O'Rourke have been visiting relatives in Ireland. When they learn what has happened, they fear for their 44-year-old son, Kevin O'Rourke, a firefighter from Rescue 2 in Brooklyn.
I guess it goes back many years to when I was a kid. The apartment building I lived in, over the years I was there, I ended up having 3 different fires. So I was carried out as a child by a firefighter. So I have fond memories, I have memories to go back to, all of a sudden, in the smoke, this big guy comes up, grabs me, and carries me down the stairs.
When he was going for his fire test.
Is that from the document?
And he said, Mom, you pray for me. And I said, yeah, Kevin, yeah. He said, pray for me to pass. I said, yeah, Kevin. So he missed it by, 1 or 2 points. And he came home that night and he looked at me.
She didn't pray?
He says, you didn't pray for me. I didn't pass. I says, no, Kevin, I prayed for you, you'd fail. So he says, Mom, that's all I want. That's my calling, is to be a fireman.
So he wanted they better not say that Dennis that, because the way they're propping up this a little bit, this background information, letting me getting me into the character of, or the person of Dennis. Now I hope he survived it, man. I hope he did, because if I find out he's dead.
While the desperate rescue operation continues in New York, Gander begins the process of absorbing all those passengers. So many that in a matter of hours, they will nearly double the local population.
Doubled? Yeah,
now,
right.
Gander is a town of barely 10,000 people.
That's crazy.
There was over 6,000 of us.
Crazy.
Now, if you extrapolate the numbers, New York City is 8 million people, so what's that? 6 million people showing up on your door saying, okay, we're here, do something.
The painstaking process of registering and removing each passenger continues through the night.
Finally, we're free, we're free. We're on the ground after more than 24 hours. We have no idea where we're going, but we're going.
It is not until noon on Wednesday, September 12th, when the last passengers are finally allowed into the Gander terminal. They're exhausted and confused, most not knowing where in the world they have landed.
We're going to bus to Gander, which is just a few minutes away. We're not sure when the FAA is going to open up the United States to travel again. The Department of Transportation in Canada has all air traffic in Canada shut down right now. When you see the footage of what has happened, you'll appreciate why things have been done the way they are.
Yeah, the footage.
The only vehicles available to transport the great volume of passengers from the airport are school buses, and the local bus drivers happen to be on strike.
We were told at the time we got a crisis on our hands.
Wait. The bus drivers that were on strike came and... Wait.
What has happened?
Wait. Sorry, I misheard that part.
The only vehicles available to transport the great volume of passengers from the airport are school buses.
Wow.
And the local bus drivers happen to be on strike.
Everyone's coming together.
We got a crisis on our hands.
They were on strike.
Never came into effect whatsoever. All the bus drivers came back, everyone.
Wow.
And we all came back and we did our job.
They laid down their picket signs, they went and took their buses and they drove it, and for the next 4 or 5 days just helped out wherever they could. And that's what we're made of. That's the type of people we're. Even though those bus drivers had a dispute with their employer, they had no dispute with the people that landed here.
We'll do the best we can. We'll get after this. If there's anything you need, anything at all,
this is such a silver lining.
Ask, and you will be taken care of, bottom line, okay? Make it as comfortable as possible.
Wow. Who's filming all of this? Like, where did they get all this footage?
As passengers arrive in town, the locals rush to meet them with home-cooked meals. Among them is lifelong Gander resident Beulah Cooper, an organizer at the Canadian Legion Hall.
7 o'clock that night, I got a phone call from the Legion and asked me to do a tray of sandwiches. They have them down there by 8 o'clock. I didn't know what was going on. Brought down a tray of sandwiches and I found out about the planes. Your heart went out to each and every one of them. Because the first thing you do is put yourself in their shoes and know how you would feel.
Currently there are thousands of people in Gander and surrounding area that need your help. Please come to their assistance, lend a hand, lend a meal, offer your services wherever possible.
It's real talk.
Passengers are not allowed to remove their check bags from the plane. so the clothes on their backs and in their carry-ons may be all they'll have for days.
Man.
Ganderites respond, donating clothing and opening their shops free of
Wow.
charge.
Yo, Gander, man. How have I only just found out about
Hundreds
this?
of passengers are also without their prescriptions until owners of the 2 local pharmacies working day and night and across language barriers can fill them all, again, at no cost.
They were able to go into the stores and just take items off the shelves. I'm
Wow.
not even sure they had to pay for them. The people were so accommodating in Gander.
That's amazing.
Even with all the kitchens firing around town, the local citizens cannot possibly feed 7,000 people. The Red Cross and Salvation Army send additional food and supplies, fueled by donations from throughout Newfoundland.
I can't thank everybody enough. It's been brilliant. Everyone seems to have pulled together, you
Yeah,
know. It's
literally.
amazing where all the stuff has come from.
The community centre is also acts as a ice rink, and we've stored all the food on the ice surface, and we became known as the largest walk-in refrigerator in the country.
It's like how they're using all of these like your everyday things in a way to support the passengers that, you know, were either en route to, you know, the US or nearby, like all the passengers that had to stay in Gander. Like from the ice rink, from letting people take food, from the clothes donations, like the bus drivers, like everyone is really pulling together. Like this is such a beautiful story so far, man. I'm only halfway through.
Food on the ice surface.
That's
and
amazing.
we became known as the largest walk-in refrigerator in the country.
That's amazing.
Another problem. Gander has only 500 hotel beds for almost 7,000 unexpected guests. Local schools, churches, and Legion halls must be converted into makeshift dormitories filled with sleeping bags,
Wow.
blankets, and cots.
This is incredible.
It is only as the passengers are settled around Gander that they see for the first time images of the devastation back home.
There's the plane. You can't miss that.
Like it really doesn't look real.
Some 30 hours
But
after
it's
all of
like
this
actually
happened,
happening.
we finally saw the pictures on television,
Yeah.
and we just stood there, you know,
Shocked.
not saying a word and just watching those pictures over and over and over.
I think a lot were in shock. You could see that look in their faces of total lost. We don't know what's happening. They're in a place called Gander. Their country has been attacked. They're talking thousands of people
That's
that may
facts.
have perished. What's happening? What is happening here?
Yo, those pictures are crazy.
I apologize to the
I mean,
families
the videos.
of people that are lost right now. We have lots of families seeking information about who was in the World Trade Center. Did they get out? Didn't they get out? Are we able to recover them? Aren't we able to recover them? And
So
we
many
don't know the
people.
answers to all those questions yet.
Oh my.
Hannah and Dennis O'Rourke are staying at the Canadian Legion Hall in Gander.
Wait.
By now,
So he survived?
they've learned that their son Kevin
Oh, wait,
had
no,
been
that's
one
the
of
parents,
the
sorry.
early responders at the
Kevin.
World Trade Center, and that he is among the missing.
Oh no.
I seen on the TV what happened to the Twin Towers. And I didn't want to alarm her, but I knew that when they collapsed, I figured nobody would get out of that thing.
Man.
But we prayed. I came here and prayed, hope he went so hard.
Actually, they're leaving me on edge right now, Kevin especially, because I still don't know if he survived. He was one of the firemen, and again, like when I watched that documentary, and I saw it from the firemen's perspective, them going into that building and seeing the destruction on the ground floor, let alone on like what was like the 70-something floor that it was up, and then they had to the escalator, the lifts were gone. They had to carry up. I didn't even think they made it all the way, and then they were hearing people. I can't, you know, exiting the building from the higher floors. I'm trying to say it in a way that's going to be for YouTube, okay for YouTube. But as I say, you guys know what I'm talking about. And hearing the sounds of them colliding with there's so much happen that it's just mad to think about. And it's crazy to see all these different perspectives. But yeah, especially with the firemen, man. oh my days. You know what? It's crazy. I'm thinking about now. I can imagine in a modern day, if something like that, God forbid, if something like that happened, I can imagine people just on TikToks like filming their last moments. Like that would be insane. But like people will do it though. People will really be filming their last moments like in situations like that. I don't think I'm yet to see any footage from anyone that was in like one of those floors in a building. But oh god, I don't even know if I want to see that. But that's so many different perspectives that I've seen so far, man.
Reality, as far as in the city of New York, that you are gonna.
This is crazy.
Lose
Kevin.
Fellow brothers.
Oh, it's from the
battling,
document.
The Red Devil. Just luck of the draw, I guess.
He says, some are called for nurses, doctors, priests. My calling is to help people. And that's my calling to be a fireman. Helping other people and saving people's lives.
That was his calling.
This is an effort involving people that came in on half a day's notice. Some very anxious people, some very worried people, but yet some very thankful people for the hospitality that only the people of Gander and surrounding area can show.
These strangers are just taking us into their home. And it was not just taking us into their home. It was, here's the bathroom, here's fresh towels, here's the refrigerator, there's plenty of food. And then what they said is, now you know where the house is. The door is open.
Wow.
I gotta tell you, this experience with your town has just been beyond belief.
This is amazing.
We were buying some clothes earlier for the extra day stay, and the shopping clerk actually invited us to her house to take a shower.
Wow.
So it's been like that ever since we've been here.
I have never seen humanity on this level.
Everybody put their arms around you, and it's always food coming in all the time.
Wow.
There's not one person that we have come across who hasn't offered to help us in some way. It's overwhelming.
That is insane.
Themselves at all at any time. They'd be in
That's
that
incredible.
kitchen and working all day, and work the night. It didn't faze them. So they were there for you.
It's not every day you see stuff
daily
like
walk
this.
to church, Hannah O'Rourke refuses to leave the Legion Hall. Beulah Cooper, the Legion Hall organizer, can't help but notice her pain.
My son is a fireman, but I know this is not New York. And your heart really went out to them. And I tried to get them to come up here and stay, but they wouldn't leave the Legion because they were afraid they'd miss a phone call.
Wow.
She was fantastic to us, and so was everybody else, but Beulah was special. She was like a mother. That motherly love, she'd hold you, and she was great.
I talked to her, tried to take her mind off things, but I know I didn't do that because you can't take a mother's mind off her child.
Beulah Cooper tends to the O'Rourke's day and night. She walks Hannah to church to pray for Kevin and for his fellow firefighters.
The community, the love that they have, you could feel it every place around, They keep telling you, keep the faith,
And they're filming in the church as well.
You'll find him. He'll find his way out. I says, if anybody can, Kevin will.
They're gonna find him. I hope so.
So, it was in God's hands.
This is mad, man.
The quiet peace around Gander was shattered on September 11th when almost 7,000 airline passengers were forced to land here. They came to be known as the Plain People, and they almost doubled the local population.
Right.
Many of them didn't know the fate of their loved ones. They were confused and anxious. But that anxiety was quickly replaced by gratitude. Gratitude for the exceptional acts of kindness and comfort offered by ordinary people.
Literally, everyday people coming together. There's no capes, there's no Superman. It's the local next door neighbor that is offering any help that they can to help the passengers in this scenario. Like this is like biblical. This is like giving like Jesus coming down to save humanity type thing, dying for our sins, humbling himself type energy. Like this is normal everyday people doing whatever they can. It's not the heroes in capes. It's your friendly next door neighbor. And what the Gander is doing is wow. This is like, I've never seen anything like this before. I've never heard of anything like this. I'm surprised. I mean, I've only just heard about this. Like, you hear about all the other stuff happening in 9/11, but this is the first time I've heard about Operation Yellow Ribbon, man. And I'm glad I know about it now.
When we were stranded here, we were very vulnerable, but everyone made us feel so loved and at home and comforted. Everybody just put everything on hold to take care of us.
Diane Kershke of Houston is traveling home alone after visiting her son's family in Huntington, England. In Gander, she has met another passenger from Continental Flight 5. His name is Nick Morrison, a button-up oil industry engineer from Worcester, England, on his way to Texas for business. Originally scheduled to fly on September 10th, his company had postponed his trip by one fateful day at the last minute.
Wow.
That's where I first saw Diane, which was over here. She was sat on an army cart all on her own. There were a bunch of other women over there. There was something in the order of 90 people here.
That's wow. That's
you're on a treadmill, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you get up, you go to work, you come home. And you perhaps don't have time to stop and examine where you are. And all of a sudden, you're plucked out of this everyday life for 4 days. And yes, you do get a chance to examine where you are and where you want to go.
U.S. airspace reopens on Thursday, September 13th. Over the next 3 days, the Gander Airport once again becomes a swarm of activity. Around town, the schools and Legion halls begin to empty.
Our community had a sense of sadness because they didn't know if they were ever going to see, and probably never will see, a lot of those people again. But there was also a lot of friendships developed from it. So there was a sense of sadness, but a sense of relief that I did something good to help those people.
We rode on a school bus to go back to the airport to leave. And of course, I had already been crying because we were leaving the people that we'd met here. And Nick was trying to comfort me, and he was going to kiss me on the forehead. And well, I didn't think about him being a gentleman and kissing me on the forehead. I thought he just missed my lips. So I just grabbed him and kissed him on the
bus. That's funny.
Shirley Brooks Jones, the retired Ohio State fundraising administrator, boards Delta Flight 15 to begin her journey home. She's constantly thinking about the generosity of the people in the Gander area, wondering what she could ever do to pay them back. And then, going home, an inspiration.
Okay.
All of us, as we were leaving, tried to leave some money with the people. And they wouldn't take it. They'd just look at us and they'd say, no, you do the same for us.
Once the flight is airborne, Brooks Jones asks the pilot if she can make an announcement. A request, really, for passengers to donate money toward a scholarship fund for graduates of Lewisport Collegiate School, where so many have spent their days in Newfoundland.
Okay, right.
Several of the men went around, picked up the pledge sheets, counted up how much the people from all over the world had pledged, and they had pledged something over $15,000 U.S.
Wow. Amen.
When Delta 15 touches down in Atlanta, the passengers and crew who for days were left wondering if anyone remembered them are surprised by the warm, enthusiastic welcome they received.
This is giving me goosebumps, man. I love this kind of stuff.
After 4 stressful days spent tending to her passengers, and with the thought of 2 hijacked American Airlines flights still fresh in her mind, Captain Beverly Bass recalls the moment she arrived home in Dallas.
Captain Beverly.
So we're rolling down the runway. I'm looking straight ahead, and I put the airplane into reverse, and it's the first chance I've had to look to the right, and that's when I saw the American flag. That was it. That was the first time that my emotions came into play.
Wow.
George Vitale returns home to a New York deeply wounded by 9/11. His everyday, a reminder of what was lost.
Yo, what happened to Kevin, though?
I come out my house, and now I'm looking at that Manhattan skyline in front of me, and there's this gaping hole. And I remember becoming so overwhelmed emotionally that I just broke out in tears. I lost a lot of people that I knew, co-workers that never came home.
Wow.
I have sometimes guilt because my experience was so warm.
Right.
I've made lifelong friends. It's kind of like if this evil attack by evil people never happened, I would have never met on the complete opposite end of the spectrum the most wonderful people on earth.
Wow. Yeah, the people of Gander
The
are
O'Rourkes
so
finally
wonderful.
arrived home on Saturday afternoon, 4 days after they were diverted to Gander. It will be 9 more days before they finally get the call they had been dreading.
Right.
Kevin's body has been recovered in the rubble of the North Tower.
So is he
I know
alive?
Kevin so well. He'd be the last man out if it was his way. He'd get everybody out before himself.
No.
That would be it. That's the type he was.
He was only 44 years old. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children. Children are supposed to bury their parents. The way he died, it was hard.
Oh, they teed that. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, wow.
I tell you, each year it gets easier.
Rest in peace.
It gets harder.
Oh, rest in peace, man. Oh, mad, man. That's mad. Oh, this is emotional.
The regular rhythm of everyday life in Gander returns quickly following that extraordinary week in September. Schools are schools again. Churches fill on Sundays. Legion halls open their doors. But the bonds forged in that short time endure to this day. Shirley Brooks Jones has returned 17 times to give back to the people who were so generous to her.
Wow, 17 times.
How big is that scholarship fund now?
The scholarship fund is approaching, with insurance and cash, around $900,000.
Wow.
And 111 young people of the Lewisport area have been helped by that scholarship.
Wow.
Last spring,
This is
Stacy
mad.
Hoff is one of 12 Lewisport seniors awarded a Delta 15 scholarship.
And it comes to no surprise, I'm sure, that the graduate of the year for 2009 is Stacy Hoff.
She is now a freshman at Memorial University in St. John's, Newfoundland.
I was proud. I was proud not only to
Wow.
receive the scholarship, I was proud of my community for what they have done.
Oh, wow.
Well, the folks around here changed your life, but you changed their life as well.
Yes, we've become very, very close. They're my second family,
Wow.
really.
Yeah, I can't contain the amount of
experience
feelings
also
I'm.
forms a new family.
This is
After
amazing.
their impulsive goodbye kiss, Nick Marson and Diane Kershke, living an ocean apart, continue to phone and write each other. He visits her in October 2001 and again in December, and ultimately arranges to be transferred to the Houston office. On September 7th, 2002, they are married, and for their honeymoon, they return to Gambo, the village
That's
near Gander
amazing.
where they met.
That's crazy.
The community welcomes them back with a song written just for them.
Yo, so we got a married couple from this. This is crazy. Yeah, bro, this is like.
So when you said to your friends in England, I was stranded in Gander, but I met this lady from Texas. They say, Nick, what's going
I
on?
didn't even realize that's when they met.
One of my friends said to me, has she got that Texas twang? And I said, yes. And you still love her?
That's amazing, man. I thought they were together, but now I'm deep in it. Yeah, they met when they were there, isn't it? That's crazy. They did a whole song for them, man.
For the O'Rourkes, memories
And
of
they're still-
9/11 remain deeply painful.
Where's that?
But the lasting gratitude they feel for a kind stranger who became a dear friend during their darkest hours brings
Oh
them
my
back to
God.
Gander for the first time, 8 years after they have buried their son.
I don't believe it.
Made you feel right at home, like you were friends forever. And you don't forget that.
In your case, you had great loss, but great gain because of all these friends that you made here.
Oh, I made great friends.
This is mad, man.
They'll be your friends forever.
Forever. Forever. Can never thank them enough. It is unbelievable what these people have done.
Yo, my eyes are
The
getting
love
teary, bro.
That's here. Everything, you know.
Nah, stop this,
It's
man. Stop this, please. I can't. Yo, I was this close
What
to
we keep
shedding a
encountering
tear.
time after time is an enormous contrast.
No
between
way,
the
I'm gonna be
darkness of
weeping
the
right
events
now
in
on
the
camera.
United States and the goodness that was going on
You guys can
here.
weep.
So in many ways, Gander
I know a lot of
played
you guys are
a
already
critical
weeping.
role, not just in getting people through that time, but as an example of what humanity can be when it's at its best.
Well, I think there was a lady, she was 80 years of age, and when she was leaving, I think she summed it all up. She said, when I heard about what had happened in the world, I had lost all faith in mankind. But after spending 5 days here with you people, you've restored my faith. There still is good people lifting our world.
That could be the legacy of Gander.
It could very well be.
Oh, guys, this is too much for me to handle right now, man. Please have it. I
In a
want this to end
lakeside
now.
park just outside of Gander, there is this monument to the local residents who put their lives on hold to help 7,000 strangers stranded far from home on a terrifying day. Here, every minute of every hour, thousands of acts of kindness were repeated.
Shout out to Gander,
Here,
man.
in gratitude, passengers create.
So glad I've reacted to this so far.
And Kevin O'Rourke, the firefighter from Rescue 2 in Brooklyn, who was lost in the World Trade Center last November, his daughter gave birth to a son. So now Dennis and Hannah have a great-grandson. Now his name is Kevin, so he lives on.
If you ever need your faith restored in human kindness, that should be compulsory viewing.
Well, it's a great place. I love Newfoundland and Labrador. I've been up there fishing, and they're just very representative of the people. It's a harsh land, and they settled it a long time ago, and as they say to us, this is how we get along here. We help each other out. And frankly, they didn't understand what the fuss was all about. They kept saying to me, why are you doing this story? This is just how we live our lives. So it is, I think, during a troubled time in America, a reminder of how people and communities, even across borders, can help each other.
How many places on Earth could that have happened in?
Well, I don't know. I think that the best of humankind comes out during a tragedy. So I think it's, you know, we see that in this country. We see it in where I go in undeveloped parts of the world where people will respond very quickly. We saw it in Haiti. It's going on right now in Chile, I'm sure, today during this great devastation. It's just sad that it takes a tragedy to bring people together in that fashion. So that's a very good symbol for the rest of the world to look at, Gander.
No, that's facts.
There were not too many beautiful stories that came out of that terrible Tuesday in 2001. That was one of them.
But this is one of them, yeah.
Well, the other thing that we felt strongly is that not enough Americans knew about it. And because of the chaos after 9/11, we were consumed, understandably, with trying to put our country back together again.
Yeah, no,
and so when I got up there, I was vaguely aware of the dimensions of it, but not nearly to the degree that we discovered that it played out over a long period of time, and the passengers remain grateful to this day.
Compelling. Thank you, Tom.
I'm so glad
Tom
they did this
Brokaw.
documentary.
We'll get
man.
back to speed skating, the medal races, and.
All right, guys, that's the end of the reaction, man. Oh man, that was a lot. That was a lot. These reactions have probably been some of the hardest reactions I've ever done on this channel, and I can, like I said with all of these reactions, man, like I can't imagine just how much this would have hit for you guys watching this. I'm just like, this was my first time finding out, but I'm so glad that I've, you know, gone down this little rabbit hole and found out so much in such a short space of time, man. It's crazy what these videos can do. And this is why I started this channel as well, to just like, you know, I'm just a curious individual, and I love just finding out why things are the way they are and how we got here, and finding out things I didn't know before. And this was one of those ones where I'm so glad I found out about, because like was said by the guy at the end, man, like this is one of those stories that just makes you have so much, it puts back the faith in humanity. And this is why I always say, like, especially nowadays, I feel like times now are so divisive. You know, especially especially when you look back from what happened since those events. I'm sure in the following couple of months, maybe a year or two afterwards, people would have been together. But then so quickly we go back to our old ways and we start fighting amongst each other, and everyone starts dividing amongst themselves. And when that happens, right, like nobody can get anywhere. And on top of the fact that it's always, when something bad happens, it's going straight to the top. You know what I'm saying? But when something good happens, people don't really see it. And I feel like this is one of those stories that, you know what I mean? And when you look back at stories like this or this documentary, at least it's a nice thing to see, to put hope that it is possible for people to come together. And when they do, you see the maddest impacts. Like for Gander to host that many people in such a short space of time, like the 7,000 people in such a short space of time is like borderline a miracle. Do you know what I mean? And it wouldn't have been possible unless everyone came together and helped out. Such a beautiful story, and so many beautiful stories that came out of this. And yeah, man, it's just amazing to hear, man. Probably one of like the most underrated, but I'm glad this happened. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to those in Gander that did that, man, because like that's just so nice to see, man. Look, I would love to know how this one impacted you guys. I know a lot of you guys wanting to see it. Let me know if there's anything I might have misunderstood, might have missed. You know what I'm saying? This is my first time checking it out, so you know, it's a blind reaction. I had no clue what to expect. I didn't know it was gonna end up like this. Almost ended up shedding a tear at the end, but you know, you're not gonna get me. Maybe, I mean, look, I'm more than comfortable crying, right? You know, maybe I'll just do that as soon as the cameras end. I'll start doing that, all of that. But yeah, man, guys, it makes this point comment on Red Heart. Show love to everyone that made this part. I mean, so I know who my real ones are, as well as to show love to everyone who may have been affected by this. My heart goes out to you guys as always, and hopefully the comment section will be full of red hearts. All you guys that made this point, just to show that. And yeah, guys, man. That being said, I've been your boy JayFlex, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.